Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Pauline Baird. I'm a Buxtonian Guyanese, and I'm a Buxtonian because I was born in the village of Buxton and raised there. I'm a cultural bearer as well. I tell the stories of our village, our whispered stories, our family traditions, our histories, practiced, hidden, and sometimes long forgotten. Today, I want to tell you a story that I tell at conferences, I write in papers, and I tell to anyone who would listen to my stories. Recently, I've been thinking about technology literacy biographies. I had written mine a while back and published it. And my technology literacy biography begins in the village. You see, people think they know Buxton because Buxton is famous or infamous, but they don't know Buxton. They know about Buxton. I'm here to tell you about Buxton. And when you see people like me and other Buxtonians, I want you to know how they come to be. I am possible because of some other people. Let me talk story. I'm going to tell my stories in English and Creolese. You see, at Buxton, we got school. We got trade school, primary school, high school, community high school, kindergarten, daycare. We got plenty school. Buxton people like school, you know. When we been in school, we start school in what you call Little ABC. At Little ABC, I had one teacher at the Methodist school, Teacher Julie Younge. You see, Teacher Julie, she was short, and she was round, and she had a bosom. She was a motherly woman. A lot of people went in Teacher Julie class. And my technology literacy biography begins in Teacher Julie class. You see, when we start Little ABC at 5'9", Teacher Julie said I had to get two things, my slate and my slate pencil. For you young people, those are the ancestors of your tablets with your stylus. I had that in my bag. And when I went to Teacher Julie class, I learned from Teacher Julie with a special methodology she had. And I call this teaching methodology the Teacher Julie bosom methodology of teaching. Let me tell you how it goes. 3 ways. First, you sit down in a bench with 3 or 4 other kids, and Teacher Julie would write on the chalkboard. Now, this is a one-room school, and only chalkboards on easels divide each class. Teacher Julie would write on the chalkboard A, B, C, and so on. And children had to look while she demonstrated. After that, she called you up one by one. This is what we call individualized instructions nowadays. Teacher Julie called you up to the desk. She called your name. For example, she would say Pauline Baird or Bobbington Hope. And you got to go up with your slate pencil and your slate. And she would hit you in next to her on a bench at her table. Now, Teacher Julie would put her arm around your shoulder and pull you in close to her. You can smell the baby powder and the perfume. And right there, and you feel as if you're next to your grandmother's bosom or your mother, homely. And she pulled you close. And she held your hand, took your little fingers, put that pencil between your fingers, and held the pressure just right. And she moved it over the slate. And she talked halfway round and down, common A. Halfway round and down, common A. Teacher Julie taught me how to write on the technology that was available then. When I think about Teacher Julie, I think about what kind of woman she was. Now, Teacher Julie exemplified what it means to mother kids into their literacies. I can picture her as a young girl when she started to work, perhaps 16, because that's when people became pupil teachers. And for 61 total years, she taught at that level. Entire families. Teacher Julie was careful to pass on a legacy that was taken up by women at great sacrifice. You have to understand, at the time when Teacher Julie was a teacher, many women could not be married, and many women took that job seriously and they remained unmarried. So we have this legacy of calling teachers, female teachers, Miss. It's come from those days, the colonial days, when to be a teacher you had to be unmarried and so-called pure, so that you can teach children. Teacher Julie was married, so she was inheriting something that women had paid for already, and she kind of, took the turn to the change when teachers were allowed to be married. When I think about Teacher Julie and the legacy that she has left behind, I also think of the many women like Miss Roach and Miss Leander and Teacher May Providence and all these women who taught kids in their early days on the slate. And we became somebodies. Now, I also think of Teacher Julie as a woman who exemplified what can happen when women defy certain kinds of traditions. I'm talking about the enslavement tradition, where women didn't stay in the same places that their forebears occupied. You see, at the time, way before Teacher Julie came along, women had to endure unspeakable crimes against them and punishment for wanting to read or learning to read. We can read history about that, what it meant for an enslaved person to read or even want to read. So I am thankful for Teacher Julie and the women like her who set a pace for us. Now, I juxtapose my technology literacy biography against kids' biography these days, or what they're experiencing. Kids are using tablets and computers and things like that. But in the age of COVID, when kids in Buxton are accessing their educational materials from their phones, I spoke to parents this week, and many of them, maybe they have one phone in the home, and that one phone is what many kids in that home would use to access their schooling on Zoom and different things like that. So it takes physical toll on their eyes. It causes stress in their families, but they're forging ahead because Buxtonians do that. The kids, they can sometimes, some of them walk from the front of the village to the back of the village or the back to the front to get the resources that their families have. So they are working together to combat the effects of the COVID-19. There's a curfew in the village, I understand. But like Buxtonians, they're rising to the challenges. The teachers, I applaud the teachers for finding ways and for sharing with us some of their challenges and what they need. Teacher Yolanda Stobie, hats off to you. The Short sisters, Teacher Trisha and Abina Short, Teacher Shawnette. And there's so many more that I can't mention your names, but you know yourselves. I say hats off to you, and I say to the Buxton people, rise to the challenge. I hear you, I see you. Many of us hear you and we see you and we support you. So, walk good.